Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
What's up, Fun and Games listeners? Eric here with the Unlockables podcast, the story of video games, the people who play them, and the memories made along the way. I am back to do another side quest episode for the Fun and Games podcast. And before I go off on my tangent about my game of choice this time, I would once again like to thank Jen and Matt for giving me this awesome opportunity to come on their platform once again and talk about the games that I love. It really, really means a lot to me, and I've met so many amazing people through this opportunity. So thank you, Jen and Matt, for this continued opportunity to come on your show and share my love of video games. The game I am talking about today is a lesser known game. I've talked about some pretty popular games in the past on the side quest series of Fun and Games. I'm coming with one that is a little bit more obscure, at least I haven't heard it talked about as much in the circles that I inhabit online as many other of the big games get talked about. The game I chose to talk about today is Majesty, the Fantasy Kingdom Sim, developed by Cyberlore Studios and published by Hasbro Interactive in March of 2000. Cyberlore Studios is no longer around. The Majesty IP is now property of Paradox Interactive. And of course, you'll probably know Paradox Interactive from some of their more popular games. Just a couple of the ones off the top of my head I know for sure. Crusader Kings and City Skylines are two of the big ones. I also believe they do Hearts of Iron. That's a big series they do as well. And they are mostly a publisher. So they publish a lot of those big sim type games. And Majesty, the Fantasy Kingdom Sim, came out in 2000 at probably the peak of the height of the simulator genre and the RTS genre. We are getting kind of the golden age of RTS, the golden age of sim games that was kind of kicked off by games like SimCity, like Warcraft, like Age of Empires, StarCraft, games like that. RTS games and sim games were really coming into their own around this time, especially on PC gaming. And Majesty, the Fantasy Kingdom Sim is one that doesn't get talked about as much. I like to look at it as kind of like a cult classic by those who remember it, but I don't really know if that's accurate because not a lot of people talk about this game. And even the title is a little bit misleading. It's called the Fantasy Kingdom Sim, but really it's kind of a parody of the simulator genre. And that's because its gameplay kind of flies in the face of everything that you would come to expect from the RTS genre and the simulator genre. Those genres got really popular because they give you a certain degree of freedom and control when it comes to creating or simulating whatever the object of the game is, whether you're creating a city in SimCity, whether you're creating your Sims and having their lives and doing all that stuff and building their houses, or if it's Age of Empires or Warcraft or StarCraft, if you're building your town or your cities or your nations and going to war with other rival players. All the mechanics in those types of games give characters a very wide degree of control to exert their control and influence over the way the game plays and the way that the games play out. Majesty's central premise flies in the face of this. You take control of a kingdom in this middle-aged setting, and you are the king of this kingdom. And you would go about doing the normal things you'd expect to do in like a sim game or an RTS game, where you would be planning your town and building structures and building up your kingdom to be successful in the world that you're inhabiting. And the single-player version of the game has like 19 playable scenarios that don't really have like an overarching plot line. Each campaign scenario is kind of like a mini scenario, mini story where you're having to deal with like a problem, whether it's like neighboring invading goblins or a sorceress has like cursed the land, and you as the king have to figure out how to solve that problem for you and your subjects. So you go about planning your kingdom, planning your town, you build structures. But the catch here is that Majesty flies in the face of everything that Sims and RTS games do. It actually takes away direct control over your units. It takes that away from the player. So the way that a general game of Majesty plays out is that when you place structures, the different structures in the kingdom allow you to do different things. So, for example, if you put down a warriors guild, you can recruit warriors who will go out and fight the evil in the land and go out and try and complete the objectives. The only thing is you have very little degree of control over sending out characters, sending out units to go and do your bidding. They're kind of like living in your kingdom, but really they kind of act on your own, and they have to kind of be coaxed to go out and do things. Otherwise, they kind of spend their time chasing their own goals and questing and doing things that they want to do. Now, you might think, well, Eric, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun if you are playing an RTS game, playing a sim game that essentially does not allow you to have any control over your units. What is kind of the point? And to me, that is the most gripping thing about Majesty, is that I've never played a game like that where it's like, hey, this is an RTS/sim game in the genre, and it completely removes the ability to be able to control the characters and the units that you recruit. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have any influence over how the game or mission plays out. You're not just really in the watcher's seat, so to say. You can do different things to kind of coax and influence the characters you recruit to your realm to go out and complete your objectives. You have money at your disposal, and as your town grows, you can levy taxes on your subjects to fund different things that happen in your kingdom. One of the most direct ways that you can get characters to do what you want is by placing bounty flags on areas that you want them to like attack or explore or go and complete the objective. And if the bounty is high enough, the characters and heroes of your realm will go off and attempt to complete that objective. And there's a wide variety of buildings and structures that you can build to recruit different heroes to be able to go out and accomplish your goals that you need to accomplish within the scenario. I mentioned the Warriors Guild at first because it's just like your standard. You recruit knights, you recruit sword and shield guys who can go out and fight the bad guys for you. There are Rangers Guilds, which you can obviously recruit Rangers, and they excel at exploring the map and uncovering the hidden areas in the fog of war so that you can locate your objectives, locate enemy bases and camps so that you can go out and destroy them. You can build the Rogues Guild, which obviously you can recruit rogues, and they excel at going to loot graves, loot bases, loot areas of interest on the map, and they bring that gold back to the Rogues Guild. And then with that building, there's a special thing where you can extort the money from the Rogues Guild and essentially take like 80% of it and put it in your coffers and allow the Rogues Guild to keep 20% of it. So it's kind of that thing where it's like, oh, as the sovereign of the nation, like you technically don't sanction the Thieves Guild in your kingdom, but if they give you like some of their money that they get from looting stuff and you let them keep 20%, it's kind of like a handshake deal, kind of like the seedy underbelly. Any healthy kingdom needs a good black market to survive, right? You can build the Wizards Guild, which will let you recruit mighty wizards to your kingdom. And the wizards are start off like really frail and they have low HP and they die very easily. But if you build supporting structures for the Wizards Guild, like a library where they can go and research new spells, they can access some really powerful magic that make them some of the best units in the game. And that's something else that's really unique too, is that like in RTS games, it's kind of like a focus on like smaller units, like more bigger army, but each guild can only hold like up to 3 or 4 heroes. And those heroes are named and they can live and die and they go to places to eat and they can go to gambling halls and gamble and they go to the fairgrounds to compete in the tournaments and they go to the marketplace to buy potions and whatever you make available at the marketplace in your town. They really kind of have lives of their own as they chase their own goals. And you as the king of the kingdom have to kind of convince and coax them to work with you for the betterment of the kingdom without having direct control over them. And that is the most fascinating part of this game. I know me telling you that you don't have direct control over the units you recruit is maybe a hard sell, but I think it's just an interesting dynamic that causes you to rethink what you know about RTS games and really focus more on like the city planning, making sure you build a thriving kingdom that encourages the subjects that live in your kingdom to want to work towards the goals that you have in mind. You're not completely helpless though. As the sovereign, if you build different like temples or the wizard's tower and stuff, you get access to a hotbar at the bottom with a bunch of sovereign spells in it. So you could like click on a lightning bolt and have like a little finger and like strike a baddie with lightning. This of course costs gold, costs money, so you can't do it indefinitely. but it does give you a little bit extra of control. So if your characters are fighting in like a battle and they're kind of outnumbered, you could throw a couple of sovereign spells in there and do a couple lightning strikes and maybe like even the odds. Or if you build the temple to Agrella, which is the temple to healing, you get access to healing spells, and then you can heal your characters in the middle of a fight to sustain them in a fight, so that maybe that gives them the edge to overcome if they're fighting a dragon or a particularly powerful foe or a vampire. And that comes with the aspect of city building as well, as some buildings, especially those of like the religious nature, there are a bunch of different buildings to different types of religions that give you access to different spells. If you build certain buildings, others, because they don't get along with other religions, will be like off limits to you. So you'll lock yourselves out of like certain buildings if you build certain ones. So like, for example, I mentioned the temple to Agrella. It's the healing temple. It's the temple like healing and medicine. If you build that temple, it'll lock you out of the temple to Crypta, I believe it is. And that is like the necromancer temple, and gives you like reanimate dead spells and resurrection spells and like necromancy type spells, because those two religions are kind of like morally opposed to each other. So there's that kind of interesting aspect of city building that forms the underlying strategy of mostly what Majesty is about. It's a really interesting game. That the idea that video games give us a degree of control over the characters that we play and the environments that we're in is why I mostly play video games to begin with. But Majesty, like removing that from the player, is such an interesting choice and an interesting experience to like just kind of let things play out. But Majesty's decision to just remove that control from the player is its most interesting aspect. And it's not a aspect in video games that I see happen a lot, unless you put things on like autoplay or like auto battle and just kind of let the battles play out. But even then, that feels more scripted. Like you're literally just dropping buildings in town, recruiting heroes and characters to your kingdom, and then like hoping you've built a good enough kingdom that they will go along and like help you complete the goals that you want to complete. Otherwise, if you don't, your entire kingdom might get burned down and all your heroes will get killed and you'll fail the scenario. So once again, that is Majesty, the Fantasy Kingdom Sim. Cyberlore Studios, this brand is now owned by Paradox Interactive. There were some attempts at sequels down the road. The most recent one you can get if you're interested in playing the game, I believe Majesty Gold HD Edition, is on Steam. That was released in 2012. That's the version that I have. I think it's still available. I don't see why Paradox wouldn't make it available, because that's how I bought it. And apparently, I'm just got the Wikipedia page up real quick, more information on it. There was a sequel called Majesty 2 in 2009. I haven't checked it out. I just kind of have stuck to this like original experience. But it looks like if you try to find this game on Paradox Interactive on their list of games page, it's like the last game in a list of like 400 games on their publishing page if you scroll all the way down. So I don't see any plans in the future, or Paradox probably doesn't have any plans anytime soon to revive the IP. It's kind of a lost gem, a hidden gem, kind of lost to history, but definitely worth checking out. It's not very expensive. I would just check it out on Steam if it's ever on sale and just experience that loss of control for yourself. And I think by doing that, it also gives you an appreciation to the types of video games that we have now that do give you so much control over the experiences that you have now. But anyways, I've rambled on long enough about Majesty, the Fantasy Kingdom Sim. Thank you to Jen and Matt again for letting me come on and share my love of this video game. To continue to come on and share my love of video games, I'm sure I'll be back on again in several months to talk about another crazy game that I've convinced Matt to let me come on and talk about. If you want to check out the stuff that I do, I'm the host of the Unlockables podcast and of the Unlockables YouTube channel. Content is a little more sparse now. My life's a little bit busier, but if you want to see what I have done so far, you can go to linktr.ee/unlockables podcast. I talk about a little bit of everything: current events, games that I love, games that I played. I'm most well known for my Kingdom Hearts Guiding Keys series, where I meticulously comb through the entire lore and story and gameplay of the Kingdom Hearts series, which is more relevant now because we finally got an updated trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4, so we know that game is still alive. But that is linktr.ee/unlockables podcast. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And as always, remember, happy gaming.
Hello there! My name is Leo, and I'm here to tell you all about my Dune podcast, Gom Jabbar, the perfect podcast for new fans of Dune and longtime fans of Dune alike. My co-host Abu and I dive deep in both spoiler-free and spoiler-heavy episodes covering Frank Herbert's original novels, the film adaptations, the board games, the comics, the upcoming video games, the HBO TV series, anything we can get our hands on. We even have a companion book club series to make your first or your 15th read-through even better. So, if you recently saw Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of Dune, or if you read Dune back when it came out in 1965, this is the podcast for you. You can find Gom Jabbar on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, pretty much anywhere you find your podcasts, and we hope you join us on the Golden Path.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.